have a really high desirability.
C. Product user fit.
Actually A minus because it's targeting most desirable market at Bali, which is one bedroom. But again, it's not a walking distance to the beach, so we cannot grade it as A.
D. Ranking potential.
Potential, it's a B plus. It is related to product user fit, which is medium. Design rate is excellent, and the location isn't really great.
And E. Ranking defensibility.
Defensibility. Now, defensibility is a function of a few factors here, but it really relates to how easy is it to keep your ranking in place once it's been achieved.
We do it all using the help of our data scientist experts and machine learning technology. So with Bukit Vista, you can calculate your property rental revenue projection and property sale price with reliable data analysis.
For at least, this property will get 24 million per month, and then at average, it will get around 30 million per month with reliability 60%.
Have your property properly evaluated for the correct pricing, investment, and information at Bukit Vista.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, good evening, wherever you are, wherever you're located. Wow, let me do some tests here before we proceed into the discussion. I would like to test if the 152 participants that have been joining here in the room are actually person, not an AI. Okay, so here's the test. So we have our amazing partners that built this event together. We call it as our co-host from our academic and also our business partners. So if you are a part or coming from these representative organizations, please comment down below on the chat box stating I'm here. Okay? Okay, let's play with me. Okay, who coming from Telkom University? No one? I'm here. I'm here. Wow. Yes. Noval. Yes. Davin. Yes. Rahayu. Yeah. Sir, Mr. Jing. Okay. Yes. Fadil. Yes. Sabila. Yes. Faris. Wow. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm in the engagement and the engagement on the comment section. Okay. Thank you very much. Now, who are coming from computer science UNES? Please down below your comment. I'm here. Good, Desti. Hi, Desti. Hi, Helmi. Hi, Hoirul. Hi, Zenia. Hi, Aziza. Wow, so much, yeah, everyone that I could not call one by one. I'm sorry if I miss your name there, yeah. Okay, next, coming from our other academic partners. Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas PGRI Semarang. Oh, no one coming from that university yet? Okay, we will skip that. That's fine. Probably some of them are still eating, yeah, because in Indonesia now it's actually a bit of lunchtime. Okay, next coming from the Faculty of Economic and Business, UHAMKA. I'm here, Nazril, Aji Susanto, Syarah, Syaharani, Adila. Wow, so many enthusiasm. Thank you very much for your engagement there. So lovely, so lovely. Uni, Hidayat. Wow, that's very good. Thank you very much. And lastly, from our academic institution partner or co-host, UPN Veteran Jakarta. Okay, UPN Veteran Jakarta. Davina, thank you very much for showing up. Who's next? Davina, I think you should bring your friend, yeah, to come over to this event if you would like to see the excitement of the AI discussion with our amazing speakers right here. Thank you, Davina. Thank you, Atalia, by the way, for engaging. Okay, next coming from our business partners from Nohama. Is there anyone coming from Nohama or knowing this event coming from Nohama? Okay, oh, no one yet coming, yeah. Okay, let's move on into the Pandu consultancy. We're here. Okay, Bu Fitri, thank you very much for responding. Bu Nabila, thank you very much for responding. Jenny Grace, thank you very much for responding. Admin, thank you very much. Okay, lastly, from our last business partner, Projasa. Coming from Projasa, is there anyone? Okay, not yet coming. Probably some of the Projasa and also brand veteran. Oh, PT Projasa Nusantara, thank you very much for responding there ya. So I'm quite relieved now. So because I'm not talking to AI, apparently. Okay, now as my courage has been built by your engagement, thank you very much. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Furkon, and I will be your host for today's event at BVE Talk 24. And we will discuss about an interesting topic, AI-powered tech solutions, transforming hospitality investment for sustainable growth. And let's move into the next slide. And these are the objectives that we will discuss during this event. The first one, um, this event is meant to build a knowledge sharing platform on AI implementation in hospitality industry, as we have been doing this for the second time in a row, and we bring around this topic on the 23rd BVE talk. And then our second objective still remains the same, quite the same with the previous BVE talk, which to open community's eyes, that is concluding from our academic partners and also to our also business partners about the advanced hospitality business model. If you were coming into the previous BVE talk, we have discussed about how AI could transform the guest operation side, the hospitality operation side. Now we are talking on the next level, which is concluding or discussing about the business side and also investment side. Now, and lastly, of course, to be a networking platform for our speakers, audience, and partners. Attention to all participants there. We have quite probably the most diverse speakers in this BVE talk. So please make sure that you are having a very good networking with these speakers. Yeah, probably who knows. So you will be connected with people from around the world. We have speakers from US, from India, from New Zealand, and also from Indonesia. So make sure that your opportunity is counted here. Next slide, please. And these are the agendas for BVE talk. And without any further ado, let's jump into the first agenda, which is an introduction. So in this introduction, I would like to introduce our co-hosts, our media partners, moderators, and also the speakers, which I believe later on for the speaker part will be directly handed over to my moderator. Okay, next slide, please. So first thing first, we would like to be grateful and would like to say thank you very much for our co-hosts from our academic and our business partners that have been working so hard in building this event together. I would like to give a clap to all of you. Unfortunately, there is no sound yeah in Zoom, but I would like really to give a very, very big clap for Computer Science UNES, for FEB, UPG, RIS, FEB, UHAMKA, UPN Veteran Jakarta, Telkom University, Pandu Konsultansi, Projasa, and also Nohama for having this event together. And then next, I would like also to say thank you to our media partners from top universities around Southeast Asia to collaboratively building this event and also spreading the awareness about this event. Okay, coming next. So for all of you, our 191 participants today, we actually have a gift for you. If you are being one of the most engaged participants for this BVE talk, we will be grateful to give you a reward for your active participation in this session. So make sure that your participation is alive to claim this prize. Okay. Now, without any further ado again, I believe, I would like to introduce my moderator here today. So, Mr. Jing, are you here?
Yes, Furkan. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to some of our participants. Yes. Who am I? Well, I actually don't know. I'm in California right now, so I'm having a bit of a identity crisis. Now, my name is Jing. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bukit Vista, and tonight I'll be your moderator. And let's go on and just introduce briefly who some of our esteemed speakers are. And wait a second. Here. If you're in the room and you're a human, could you turn on your camera? Yeah. Just for a moment, just so that we can see everybody here. Otherwise, I do get this weird feeling I'm talking to. Hey, there we go. All right, fantastic. We see some people there. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, cool. As speakers, it's sometimes odd doing an online webinar because I feel like I'm just talking to my screen. But if I could see some people, and I'm sure if the speakers could see the people that are here, they probably would like it more, and you're going to get more out of it too as well. All right. Okay. Thank you for those that did turn on the camera. For the other people, yeah, ease into it. All right. Brief introductions. Let's bring Mr. Aditya to the floor. Mr. Aditya is the CEO of Hotel Logics, and Mr. Aditya is joining us today from New Delhi, originally from Bangalore. All right, Mr. Aditya, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you hope to contribute tonight at the BVE Talk.
Well, hi guys, Aditya here. I'm the CEO co-founder of Hotel Logics, which is a cloud-based hotel property management system for hotels, serving hotels across 100 plus countries. I believe a lot of participants are here from Indonesia, and I understand Aditya is a very popular name or a known name in Indonesia. When I visited, they basically said that, "Are you from Indonesia?" So, so hello everyone for that. We do have customers, and I do have the, the luxury of visiting Indonesia time and again. And one thing that I would like to contribute over here and to tell everyone is that the time for people in hospitality industry specifically, or any other, I think people cannot hear me once again.
I can hear you good. Yeah,
we can hear you good.
Okay, so is that the domain expertise is going to be the most important, or a very important capability to have in times to come for technology to really take shape. If you take Gen AI, Gen AI is a technology that blossoms with domain experts. Let's say if you understand the guest journey of anyone who's staying in a hotel, you can build such good applications, understanding the guest journey using Gen AI platforms. A lot of hard work and complex work of engineering, using big data, using map data behind the scenes have been done. And now it is the time for domain experts to understand what is really required in this work, use prompt technology, and build applications, and build value for businesses around, and build value for your own expertise. So I think we are entering into a very good era. Next 3-4 years, AI is going to change the world, and brilliant initiative by Bukit Vista to bring forward this particular topic to the world, to each one of us to think about and act on it. Yeah. So yeah, that's my 2 cents that I would like to get and give in this conversation.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Aditya, for sharing your vision about domain expertise and the growing influence of AI in the world of hospitality. And thank you for also joining us from such a remote location as well. Okay, let's go on to our next speaker. Our next speaker will be none less than Brian. Brian joins me on the same West Coast of the United States right now. He's up in Washington, and Brian's really ready to celebrate Christmas. Brian, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks for having me. And I'm going to try this. Swastiastu.
Hey!
Does that work for my friend Somali?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
How did you know that, Brian?
I just Googled it and decided I would listen to it a few times, and I thought, okay, this is going to go really poorly, or maybe it'll work.
It certainly worked. It certainly worked. That in-depth knowledge is it's very delightful. Mr. Brian is actually CEO of City Builder and also co-founder of City Builder, which is an application that helps use data to find locations to place businesses. Mr. Brian, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, just to build anything. If you guys ever played a game called Sim City, that was my favorite game as a kid. And
Excellent. Yes.
I found a way the last 8 years to play Sim City for a living. So what we do is use AI, generative AI. We built our first one 7 years ago, and data science and lots of technology to figure out where you can build anything, from retail locations to hospitality to industrial to housing. Anything that you see in the built environment, when you walk around anywhere in a city, there are rules that tell you what you can and cannot do in any city pretty much in the world. And we build out a rules-based layer and a translator for all the zoning information, which functions as kind of your rules set. And then in 3D on a map, we use generative AI to design the highest and best use of that land. And so I am a co-founder. My co-founder is actually here watching. His name is Devin Cairns. So if you guys want to say hi to him.
Devin, are you there?
Devin is here.
Cool.
Devin is
Hey there.
Hi, Devin.
Hey, Devin. Devin is in Vancouver, BC right now. So we've been co-located now for, close to a decade.
Wow.
So remote work is not anything new for us. I'm here sitting in my living room, so this is just as comfortable for me as being in our office. But really happy to be here, and I totally agree with Aditya. I just want to echo what he had to say about AI. I have 5 kids, 3 of them are teens, and I tell them, spend as much time as you can using AI. There are so many delightful applications for any age group, for any person in the world that's available now to anybody to solve simple problems or to go really, really deep into a domain. Doesn't matter. So get your 10,000 hours right now. Start using it. It's basically free. I feel like it's when the internet became available to me at the library in the 90s. That's the world you're living in today. So get your 10,000 hours and just have fun while you do it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you for also reinforcing this idea of domain expertise. My daughter is sitting next to me right now. She's using GPT-4 to get through her math and her AP World assignment right now. It's actually pretty fun to watch. Yes, as much as possible.
Awesome.
There's a lot of students in the room as well, so I hope they are also as equally enthusiastic and delighted using these new tools at this dawn of a new technology revolution. All right, let's continue with our speakers. Thank you and welcome, Brian and Aditya. Let's go to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Matthew Rose. Matthew is a sales and revenue manager at Room Price Genie. Matthew, are you there?
I am indeed.
All right, Matthew, come on up. Matthew's joining us from New Zealand. And Mr. Matthew, would you like to say a few words about yourself and what you hope to contribute tonight?
Yeah, I guess from a contribution perspective, I'll also ditto exactly what Aditya said. But my background, I was in hotels for many years before moving into more the tech space. So I moved into a prominent OTA and then have been with Room Price Genie for a couple of years. So we use a lot of machine learning and AI tech in our particular software. So yeah, happy to chime in and discuss all things revenue as far as AI is concerned.
Fantastic. All right. So we'll be covering a few different topics. There's some of our audience that is coming from technology backgrounds, some from business backgrounds, from a mix, some for tourism. And this will be a very fascinating, also diverse set of audience, but also of opinions too. All right. Welcome, Mr. Matthew. And next, our final speaker is Mr. Suryo. Mr. Suryo is the Vice Director at the AI Center in Telkom University. Mr. Suryo, welcome. Selamat datang.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Mr. Suryo. Mr. Suryo, what do you hope to contribute this evening? And maybe tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, thank you. I am as a vice director in AI Center in Telkom University, and we develop several algorithms related AI to solve some problems for the real real world application. And I think from academia, there is some gap, yeah, between academia and industry, but we try to minimize that gap. So yeah, this is maybe this idea that uh, can have a, what can I say, uh, inspiring the student
Mhm.
to minimize that gap between academia and industry. Okay.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So true. Mrs. Surya, thank you for also sharing a very difficult point to mention. This is one of the fundamental reasons why we started the BVE talk in the first place 24 episodes ago. So having seen the differences in the advancement of industry and how it leads oftentimes Indonesia ahead of academia, I think the whole point of this is to actually get that closer collaboration between real world diversity, the international scene, and also the academia, the academic world in the country. All right, thank you for joining us tonight, Mr. Suryo, from a academic perspective as well. Okay, we're using Miro, which is still kind of like a pre-AI technology to get through all our different ideas. My assistant Adil, who works as our SEO specialist at Bukit Vista, will be navigating through this board this evening. Adil, if you're there, just kind of wave so everyone sees who you are. And all right, let's go on to the next frame in this presentation. Okay, this is critical. This is Slido, also something pre-AI. So if you have the opportunity right now, and I think somebody on our team will share in the chat, they'll send you a link so that you can go onto Slido. And this is a way for you to capture engagement, win some of that 50,000 rupiah too as well, but also share your thoughts. I might not have the best questions, or you might have a question that you really want to ask our panel tonight. So please open this up, and we'll open Slido later so we can start seeing what questions that the audience has. And please, it's a real delight to get the speakers, and it's been a long time organizing this event. So make the most of it by asking the questions that you think are important, or questions that ChatGPT isn't answering for you so far. Okay. All right. Anyways, this is Slido, and please, Furkan, yeah, somebody can post the link, please. On
Already,
the
sir. Already
Oh,
covered.
okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you for getting me there, Furkan. And we can take a look at that. All right. So next slide, please. All right. The format, if you've been to a BVE talk, should be familiar. So this is a moderated discussion with panelists. I'm the moderator, and this is our panel. And I'll be asking them questions. So first question, let's start with the very first topic. AI is still relatively new, and I think there's a lot of ways that it's been misunderstood, and there's a lot of ways that people are beginning to understand it better. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the way that AI is being understood and also misunderstood. So let's go over and dive in. Okay, let's begin. So I'll have to pick somebody. So I guess I'll pick Mr. Aditya here. All right. Help us get through the noise here. Just earlier, you mentioned that being a domain expert is important, the way that you see the integration of AI into the business space, into property management services, revenue management. Where do you see kind of like the idea, where do you see AI actually being able to help? Where do you see the hype? Where do you see people who are, let's say, non-experts misunderstand the impact of AI? And perhaps help our students here and also some of our audience who are coming, who are potential users of your platform, to understand what is noise and what is actually the true opportunities in AI.
Sure. So, and I would not like to give a theoretical answer. Let me make it slightly anecdotal for everyone to understand. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So let me give an example, right? What I mean, and I think it should fuel enthusiasm in many of these students to say, why this technology is so relevant for us, right? And what can I do with it? So let's understand. Let's say I come from the hospitality technology space, being into property management. I understand, guest management and stuff like that. So let's play out what a guest journey looks like, right? Someone books a hotel somewhere, right, on booking.com. Let's say they start looking for it, and then let's say they take that ultimate step of booking a hotel, and from booking.com they book a pay at hotel booking, right? Now when you have to do a pay at hotel booking, now there is a chance that whether that particular booking will get confirmed or not, or that booking is going to be a no-show, right? But what is going in the mind of a traveler, right? The next journey is, okay, whether this is the right hotel for me or not, right? So what are the things that booking.com can send using GenAI, right? That, oh, this is a fantastic hotel, these are the places around and stuff like that, and they can do it at scale. The best part is that they can do it at scale. So when you understand the guest journey from pre-booking to post-checkout, what are the things that constantly brew in his mind? Once he's had a confirmed booking, what are the things that he would like to do? Let's say he would like to visit places of attraction. How would he want to spend his time in the evening? You know what? Where is the parking available next to the hotel if the hotel does not have parking? And you have multiple such things. Can he do a pre-check-in over there and save some check-in time? So now you have transactional technology along with information that can be fed in by the hotel, information that GenAI can collate from the internet, and the best part and the best part about domain expertise is that they understand how does the guest journey happen, and now prompt the right things to GenAI platform and get the right information out of it, and then present it in a way which is actionable to the guest, so that this guest journey becomes much more and more fruitful. You can actually win the customer, the guest, even before he checks into the property. He has got so much of relevant information right on his fingertips that he feels almost belonged, that yes, these guys really, really want to welcome me. In older days, all this needed a lot of data scientists to work specifically for certain hotels and stuff like that, and only big brands could do such stuff. Now with Gen AI, this kind of capability has come to in the hands of small businessmen, individuals, entrepreneurs. I mean, so you can have a personal assistant. So just imagine that this kind of capability coming in the hand of the mid-market hotel industry, what magic can it create for them? Something that was a luxury for only the big brands of the world now is there on the fingertips. And who is knitting this together? The domain experts. People who understand what is value to a guest, right? People who understand that, yeah, this earlier, you had huge technology to say, okay, what are the kind of reviews? What are the 5 things that I need to do for my hotel to perform better, right? Today, all these things can be collated from in a click of a button, and the hotel will get to know, oh, my housekeeping probably is not the best, or I take too much time in check-in, or people have experienced delayed time to response from my for my Wi-Fi issues and stuff like that. Whatever it is, right? So all these things are so practical, and domain people can understand what will bring value, enhance this business, enhance productivity to the next level. Underlying technology is already sewed into the platform of GenAIs, and now it has to be applied, right, and used, and applications need to come out where these domain experts will be useful. So I am extremely kicked that this next 3 to 5 years, it is going to change the way people use technology, people build technology, people deliver technology, and stuff like that.
Most excellent. Most excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Aditya, for contributing. I'm going to review a few things here. So just for everybody's benefit who might not be from the, let's say, the marketing or building UI, UX, a guest journey is essentially the stages that a particular guest will go through on their process of becoming a guest: awareness, consideration, conversion, and hopefully finally advocacy. Then we'll go through each particular of these stages. And during each stage, in the past, companies needed to collect information and data to be able to understand what was going on in each of their particular guest journeys, or to aggregate data from a third party. But now, speaking of Gen AI, you are able, as let's say a small business, to have those capabilities because the data has already been collected. It's more of a matter of domain expertise. If I'm understanding domain expertise, it means that to be a very, very sharp specialist regarding specific ideas around a specific type of knowledge, that is how we can be more useful, because the general knowledge just seems to be already in the AI, but it's the specific knowledge that can tease out the good bits and parts. Mr. Aditya, would that be an effective summary of the points that you mentioned just earlier?
Absolutely, absolutely. Very, very well put. I couldn't have put better.
Okay, good. I'm an AI program. That's why I'm doing this. Or maybe I just have ChatGPT open right now. All right, fantastic. You know, for a moment this evening, I actually thought about feeding everything into ChatGPT and just auto moderating. And so, I'm not doing that right now, but I have it right next to me, and I can kind of turn on the microphone bit here. Actually, that's a fun question. Anyone know that you could actually use ChatGPT on voice mode? You can just kind of talk into it, and now it will spit out some results. It's a little bit unnerving. Okay, Mr. Aditya, thank you for the first introduction into this particular topic about AI understanding and misunderstandings. Let's go to maybe our next speaker. Mr. Matt, you work in pricing at Room Genie. And so in this particular, I guess, field, there must be a lot of discussion about AI, mathematics, big data, and computations to actually effectively determine what is the correct price and therefore deliver value to a hotel with many thousands of rooms and such. What's been some of the things that you've been listening to and understanding about AI? And what are some of the misconceptions that you've heard other people speak about in their lack of understanding, or perhaps necessity to improve their understanding? Or do you have a similar viewpoint as Mr. Aditya? What say you, sir?
For myself, I have a fairly similar viewpoint as Aditya. I think from a lot of the conversations we have, there is certainly a lot of misunderstanding out there, but as a generalization, I would say it would come down to the demographic of person that you're dealing with. I think if you've got a younger hotelier, motelier, they're certainly a lot more open to it, and in some cases also using ChatGPT to respond to reviews. They have automation set up for guest messaging and all these sorts of things. So when it comes to a demographic level, I think there's a very clear difference between younger and older generation. I think in the world of pricing, certainly there is a lot of technology coming out now, but Aditya sort of just touched on it around potentially what this means for the future. And if I think about the world we live in today, you know, people are familiar with dynamic pricing when it comes to rooms. They're familiar with dynamic pricing when it comes to airlines. You know, gas, petrol prices, they also fluctuate. Uber, rideshare, they have surge pricing. So I think we're surrounded in a world where there is a level of dynamic pricing, but I think this really opens up a lot more opportunity, particularly in the accommodation sector, because at what point, if you think about that guest journey, when it comes to attractions and activities, why are we charging the same ticket price for the same attraction at the same time of the day every year round? Why could this not be dynamically priced? Just in the same way as restaurants, they have the same menu pricing and everyone wants to have dinner at the same time. Why can't we change pricing of our menus at different times where there is demand? So I think we don't necessarily have the apps yet that can cater to this, but I'm fairly certain that through the growth of AI and as demographics change and the world becomes more familiar with this, I think we will be surrounded with a world of pricing where everything in essence would be dynamically priced. So that's probably my thoughts around it.
Okay, fantastic. So this is kind of coming from a different, there's a mix here, right? So in the popular models that we've seen with ChatGPT, these are language models. And with pricing, what say you? Does a large language model work for pricing, or are we talking about a different kind of AI or specific to get that functionality to work?
I think when it comes to pricing, a lot of it is data driven. So it's more machine learning, I would say, than on the AI side of things at this stage. I think as we go through and we learn more, and as particular software platforms are able to incorporate a lot more of that big data, that really AI, ChatGPT type of data, then I think that really changes the landscape of how properties might price, and therefore what opportunities might or might not look like going forward. But I think when it comes to pricing specifically, we're very much in the infancy at this stage.
Okay, sounds good. So it sounds like there's a few key points there. So one is like the familiarity and the fluency in using AI between different generations. So let's say a younger generation, people feel a little bit more comfortable with it, with these tools, and let's say the older might not be so much. And then there's also this probably inertia in the marketplace for understanding where dynamic pricing could actually be applied. We feel comfortable. Actually, I think in Indonesia, it's all fixed pricing. It's actually the same price for petrol everywhere. It's like a solid one rate wherever you go. But yeah, in many countries, the price of, let's say, of petrol or a food item does go up and down according to the market placement or the market dynamics. And then you bring up an interesting point about the application of dynamic pricing to like a restaurant or to the food service industry, because yes, it's always the same price, but of course the demand and the supply and also the coordination in a restaurant might not be actually the same. If you know, why not sell the same meal for a little bit cheaper during, let's say, an off hour? That way you could probably drive a little bit more utility out of your restaurant. Okay, fascinating. Very fascinating. Let's go next to Mr. Studio. Mr. Studio, what do you think? I mean, you're in academia and you have students and research, and also you come from a different environment. What are some of the things that you've seen that is a misunderstanding of AI, and what are some of the things that you see that is an improved understanding of AI?
Okay, thank you, Jing. In the academia, maybe I see many students feel so difficult to make some kind of algorithm from AI, but this should be not what can I say, not good, I think. Yeah, because if we develop the AI algorithm is easy, then maybe some student need to study mathematics and so on. But nowadays, to make AI algorithm, there is several libraries that can be used to develop AI algorithm. Okay. Is it clear, Jing?
A little bit, but let's go into a little bit deeper. What sort of algorithms do you see students attempt in this point to implement artificial intelligence? Are they using, you know, random forest? Are they using what type of
Yeah, because in the faculty, the AI course is located in the sixth semester maybe, and so this is a limited period to study AI long time. So that's why there is no background to student to make a develop basic AI. Even now we consider about the CNN, deep learning, and so on. Yeah.
Okay, all right, interesting. Students are struggling with getting, let's say, the proper understanding of AI algorithms at Telecom University, yeah?
Yep. But the students should not worry about that, because there is several libraries that can be used to make the solution about AI, right?
Okay. Which
Yeah.
one of these libraries do you see as being more helpful from time to time, more efficient to improve, let's say, a faster rate of learning?
Yeah, in Indonesia, there is some kind of program from the Minister of Education, and there is for digital talent, maybe there is some kind of program and about course, AI course, and yeah, we can make a many program to enhance the capability of knowledge AI for the student.
Okay, all right, got it, cool. Let's continue then. Let's go to Mr. Bryant. Mr. Bryant here with City Builder. This is fascinating. So, you're working on the SimCity model, and I'm sure that this has a lot of data points going into it. And you're probably also talking to users, customers, employees, partnerships, maybe some of the people that actually even draw out the laws and the rules for implementing buildings. What have been kind of the things that you've been hearing that sound really, really correct? And what have been the things that you hear that sound more like misunderstandings?
I think the things that sound correct are that we can augment human capability using AI.
Yep.
I think the misunderstanding is that AI is going to disintermediate the need for humans to be involved in all of these processes. I think that's 100% incorrect. There are really good science fiction books that have existed for decades. They're getting better all the time because they're reflecting our reality. But one of the best chapters I've read about the future, a possible future involving AI is Max Tegmark's Life 3.0. So if you guys haven't read it, the first chapter will scare the crap out of you. Because what happens is artificial general intelligence becomes self-sentient and aware and begins to control everything going on around us. And in a period of about, 3-4 weeks has taken everything over. Looks like my daughter just joined. So hi, Grace. Grace, go to bed soon. I love you. Thank you for joining.
Wants to see her dad speak.
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea that AI is going to disintermediate the need for humans to be involved in everything, I think is incorrect. We really derive a lot of meaning as humans from our interactions with other people, not just the transactional nature of getting things done. For example, you can walk up to a machine now in San Francisco airport and you can enter in what kind of latte you want at Cafe X. My friend Henry Hu actually is CEO over there. And it will make you a perfect latte and spit it right out. And there's no human there. Everything is done by the machine. It's got like a human arm and everything. It's a robot arm, but it looks like a human arm. It waves at you and everything. But that doesn't connect the same way as your local barista.
Yep.
If you guys go down and you talk to someone who makes you a cup of coffee every day, that person interacts with you. They remember things about you. They act certain ways towards you. And I think that's going to be something that we need more and more, actually, as our lives begin to be interfacing with computer screens and small screens and data and technology and algorithms and data science. So I would say focus on the things that make us human. Focus on judgment. Focus on creating an experience for the people that you're waking up every single day to serve, whether those are customers, your employees, whoever those people are. Use this as a way to augment your capability to improve delivering value to those people.
Excellent. Okay. So that's on the side of AI is being misunderstood. What about, Brian, on the side that, like, what is a stronger understanding of, let's say, the potential and the capabilities of AI from your experience?
I just like to affix the prefix super to the beginning of everything. So we work with publicly traded companies that are doing all kinds of things in the built world, but let's use multifamily for an example. So these people are looking for the best places to build housing, apartments all over the United States and other countries. And they employ, as they always have, analysts who go through a lot of data to figure out where's the best place we can make an investment. It used to be that a very good analyst, given all the best Excel spreadsheets and models and data, would be able to get through 500 to 1,000 properties in a year. And we have super analysts now that are going through tens of thousands of properties in a year. And what's interesting is they're not actually doing anything any differently. They're just doing it a lot faster than they used to. All of the same decision trees exist. All of the same workflows are being processed. It's just being automated. No differently than, you'd sit across and play a game of chess with someone. You've got a chess computer there. They're thinking the same things in a way that the other player might when you're playing an actual player. It's just going through everything so fast. And so you've got super analysts, you've got, super brokers, you've got affix the term super to anything, and you're going to start to see that if the workflow that the person went through before could be automated by AI. So another guy, Peter Zion, who I like to listen to, says if it requires eyes and fingers, it's probably going to remain the domain of humans for the next 10 to 20 years. If it doesn't require eyes and fingers, then it's probably going to be automated at some point.
Very, very fascinating point. What about a super CEO? Do you see something like that coming along?
Yeah, actually, there was a study, I think, out of Columbia that showed that the best students in the MBA courses came up with good business ideas about 14% as well as AI did. So
Wow.
AI was being ranked on novelty, on business model, on business, total addressable market.
Right.
And it's funny, I mean, Devin's here. I think he probably remembers me saying a few years ago, well, at least the AI is not coming up with great business ideas. Well, it is. It is coming up with great business ideas.
That's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I think all of our jobs are going to change from, the CEO all the way down to the entry-level worker. But we
Right.
should think about AI as a tool, like any tool since the beginning of time, that can augment capabilities to do things that are more human and
Correct.
less robotic.
Correct.
And I think that's an opportunity. I think that's exciting.
And maybe since in the beginning, I think Aditya and both agreed on this particular idea of domain expertise. Yeah. And I guess coming from Matt's perspective as well, that's Rate Genie is a domain expertise on tuning prices for revenue management and hospitality applications. What is your is that a good defense strategy, a good offense strategy to become a domain expert in a particular thing? So instead of being like a little bit general on everything and having shallow knowledge across a broad spectrum, to really get deep into one particular narrow lane that the AI hasn't actually explored yet and drill down there. Do you come from a similar perspective as Aditya on that one?
100%. Yes, I think domain expertise is incredibly important. And when you're thinking about what you could become a domain expert about, because I know there are a lot of students here, I would say this is the one area where when they tell you to follow your heart, that's true. When you're young, and you're thinking about what makes you excited, what you would wake up in the morning and want to do more of and jump out of bed to do, become a domain expert at that thing. Make sure that there's, good demand for whatever you're going to supply to the world, but then become the best in the world at that thing and use every tool at your disposal, not just AI, but everyone, especially mentors and people that have come before you, and connect your new pool of knowledge to the old world of knowledge and everything that exists there, because there's a lot to be gleaned from the past. But yeah, I would 100% say become a domain expert.
Okay, got it. I have a fun question for Aditya and also Brian, you here too as well, right? Do you think that the space for a domain expert is the space of just one person or multiple people? And I ask this because of this, right? Once you become, let's say, the domain expert of fine-tuning revenue management prices for a specific particular, right? And you're implementing AI, then you kind of win that entire niche all to yourself. There's no need to go to another particular person for that because your knowledge now is kind of integrated and can be used by anybody else, right? So then how is it going to be like where you have just like is it going to look like fur, right? Like a bunch of hair strands. Everyone becomes like a very, very micro niche domain expert. Like maybe you're the domain expert on pricing in Seattle and another person is the pricing expert in Portland. What sort of economy or world would that start looking like? Let's go to Aditya first. Do you think that might be one of the ways it plays out?
Well, I personally think I mean it's anyone guess to guess something like this, but what I feel is that domain expertise comes with a lot of collaboration. It is not something that is built in isolation. Number one, right?
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to be a lot more collaborative world going forward. So I don't think any one of these expertise or these businesses will basically thrive in isolation. So the world is going to become bigger. The market is going to become bigger from that perspective. And I do think that these intersection points is where you start leveraging technology that you come up with. So I'll give you an example, right? See, a lot of people ask me, why do you go to events where, or in this place where you have only travel agents over there? There are no hoteliers, but it's something which fuels travel. I need to understand how travel agents think, right? I
Mhm.
need to start liking the industry, right?
Yeah.
To know that how does it fuel into a hotel? It may not be my product's direct, responsibility, but once you
Mhm.
start liking it, you start understanding it, then you develop a lot more collaboration. I heard Matt talking about revenue management, that it is a lot of data and a lot of specific expertise, and it is still yet to have application in the revenue management area from a hardcore AI perspective. But if you look at it the way it is going to go forward, that the review management is going to collaborate with revenue management, and probably a new
Yes.
term called value management will come into play, right? So what
Yes.
I'm trying to say is that that your question about whether they are going to get isolated, I think they are going to get a lot more collaborative, is what I feel.
Now that is a great point, and anybody who is a CEO should probably see this. Is collaboration something that you think is actually better done through AI than through people? Now, Mr. Aditya just mentioned this idea of tying together different parts that are departmental, like review management would be, let's say, hospitality operations, and the revenue would go into probably a different section of the building doing revenue management, right? So these two sections then need to have somebody get them together to talk, somebody to exchange all this information and such. I find it actually kind of, it's an interesting question. Wouldn't that be easier if you just brought all that data, big data together into an algorithm that just talk to each other, right? That type of collaboration could greatly see much more bandwidth and reliable bandwidth if it was automated or not. I don't know. Let's go to Matt. Matt, what do you think about that? If you could integrate review management to room rates without having to rely on like interdepartmental communication, would that actually create better and faster pricing decisions? What do you think?
I have no doubt that review management will end up coming into pricing for sure. I
Mhm.
think where we are right now is we're kind of we operate in silos to try and perfect our particular piece of the jigsaw puzzle at this point.
Right.
I think what I think will happen is more around take Booking.com, for example. They talk about the connected trip, and it's from the time that someone thinks about going somewhere to the time they get home. And
Mhm.
so I think it'll be these larger players that might be that conduit to bring everyone together. Because if we start thinking about attractions, how do you get to your hotel? How do you get from the airport? Where do you want to eat? I think these are the kind of big platforms that will be that conduit to start bringing everybody together.
Wow.
Agree for sure that to work together would be a whole lot easier.
Mhm.
But I think this comes down to I think Brian sort of touched on this, where you need that human part to build those relationships, and I think that's the key part that it can't really be done at this stage by AI in terms of really building that solid business relationship between two separate entities.
You bring up an excellent point, and I think Brian also mentioned this too earlier. I think what makes, let's say, within the analogy of tech as a tool, right? I think Apple really got this kind of on the ball. So they really thought about that human relationship between the person and the computer, right? That's why they take a lot of time thinking about their keyboards and their input devices, and it's almost like that interface between your brand and the part that touches your customer. That's the one part that will probably not get disrupted, right? So if you have a strong relationship with the person who's consuming your services, then I guess unless there's an AI that can do it like for far cheaper, right? They'll probably still stick with you and such. So that I think is the most maybe defensible part in the oncoming, let's say, disruptions that might happen. And I think we all touched upon that, right? That human sort of getting your usership to be sticky with you in that particular regard. But let's say, Matt, I have a fun one. What if Booking.com just offered Rate Genie sort of functionality built right into, let's say, the platform itself? Would that not disrupt Rate Genie in that particular regard?
I think the thing is that we're still, everyone, in terms of all the different pieces of the puzzles, everyone still wants to be that expert at what they do. And so for Booking.com, the part that they do is the marketing and the brand awareness about where you can stay. That's the core of their business. Does it make sense to try and duplicate something that is already existing in a marketplace from a scalable point of view and cost perspective, or do you just allow closer relationships and better integration of all these people that are working currently in silo to bring everyone together to provide? At the end of the day, we're all servicing the same customer. Why try and duplicate efforts when we could all work together?
Got it. Okay. All right. It might not be the way Booking feels about that, though, right? They might be just like, all right, we'll take
That's a whole nother, yeah.
Okay. Fascinating. So let's see if let's go to Furkan. Furkan, how much time do we have for this topic?
The time I actually was up like from 10 minutes ago, but I
Oh
think
my God.
yes.
We
But because,
dove deep into it. Okay.
yes, but I think it's worth to continue the discussion because the topic is interesting and the speakers are engaging well. So I think let's focus into and move on into the second discussion, which is related to the AI and business performance, and
Yes, let's do it.
And what actually Mr. Aditya has been waiting for to talk about.
Okay. Let's quickly summarize. So it seems like there's misunderstandings about AI. There's misunderstandings about the approach to learn AI. But the one thing that, let's say, is something that we know is AI is an application of a tool and technology. There should be no, let's say, approach of fear or such to it. It enhances the collaboration. And more importantly, the one part that we really can look forward to is the way that enhances our human relationships. And that seems to be the crux of what the speakers have been alluding to. I've just posted actually a few graphics to help the audience in the room to understand, let's say, maybe industry terminology that might not be too familiar, right? Guest journey, neural nets, different machine learning models, and also dynamic pricing. So as the speakers speak, I'll be adding these little visual aids to help the understanding and the comprehension of the room too. All right. Thank you for all the speakers and engaging in a bit of banter here back and forth about the possibilities and misunderstandings and understandings about AI. So next topic, a bit more practical, relevant, and immediately applicable. Let's go to Mr. Aditya, since Mr. Aditya will be needing to go pretty soon. Business performance. How have you realized practical gains and actual benefit from, let's say, your own experience by implementing AI, but also how have you enhanced, let's say, the businesses of your users through implementation of AI? How has AI been able to deliver net benefits in terms of either service quality or revenue, or I don't know, maybe soft benefits too, maybe intangible benefits to your customers, your employees, and your partners?
But multiple areas, right? Multiple areas, and the curious mind will basically win the cup, is what I always say.
Yeah,
Right?
so true.
So it is an evolving world, and everyone needs to be open to change. Those who don't change, they will lose the game in any case, right? So
yes,
so that's what my advice to my team is in my company. And we run a session called Better Version of Myself. Okay, so how do we become better? One of the key areas becoming better is becoming relevant. So getting into specifics, there was a lot of resistance. Oh, should we be using Chat GPT for constructing our emails, marketing emails? And say, why not? Why? You have a copy editor who can copy edit it, see the relevance of it, do the right prompts and get the right email. But why not use productivity tools to enhance your productivity, right? You're not plagiarizing anything, right? You're basically using intelligence. So, so right from starting to use Chat GPT for marketing purposes, for building up creatives for our marketing, to making product marketeers understand the product better, feeding in the user manual, stuff like that. Okay, what are the top 10 value propositions of the product and stuff like that, so getting them quickly onboarded onto their job. Interview questions, the top 10 relevant questions. Not everyone is capable to interview everyone and stuff like that. What are the top 5 candidates that I have within these 100 people who have applied? The list goes on and on and on as to how you can enhance productivity within your own organization or drive performance within your organization using Gen AI as a gift to all of us, right? So there is no denial. Coming to specifics, what we've done for hotels, we are in the process of building a chat bot for hotel websites. Now, if you see, these chatbots are so powerful. They can say, okay, how many rooms you have? How far is it away from the airport? It can just answer any damn thing in real time, which was a simple thing that none of these hotels have. You need very, very expensive tools to be able to have that in the past, right? So things like these confirmation emails, telling guest assistants, all these things are in the works for our customers as we speak. The most important aspect over there is that you can get highly confused because it is so vast, but the only way to get into it is like Brian said, that get your hands dirty, go access tools, play with tools. They will keep on sharpening your understanding about it, and you will be able to do something worthwhile with it going forward. So you can really enhance the your performance of your company by using multiple tools that GenAI offers out there. All you have to do is to be inquisitive. You have to be open-minded, and it will only enhance the capability of a human being. It does not replace as such, which Brian also said. So you bring in relevance with it, but the experience is still there to be given by the human.
Excellent. Is there any particular place that you like to go to find, let's say, new particular tools that might be helpful for your AI tool discovery?
I am a great fan of Udemy. Number one, go to Udemy, take quick courses on quick crash courses or sessions on YouTube that are there by so many thought leaders that how you can start understanding how to just prompt the Gen AI, the chat GPT. There is a technique to it, right? And Brian is here who can throw a lot more light, who's a lot more dirty into this space. Dirty, I use it as a positive connotation. So yeah.
I'm actually curious. I'm putting your website here too as well, Mr. Aditya. Are there any sort of AI technologies built into HotelLogix at this point that might be of benefit to your end customer or your end user at this point?
So this next version that is coming up on our homepage and stuff like that, a lot of its information is generated, and we are using Gen AI for that. I'll tell you the reason. It is not just to reduce. See, when anyone comes to my website, what is my obligation? My obligation is to give him the most relevant thing in the shortest period of time. I have to care for him who's there on my website, right? So it is giving value to that. From a product perspective, I think, like Matt said, having AI as integral part of the product is still a few, we are still learning about it and stuff like that. But the peripheral parts which are getting clear is what we are basically building for our customers. So yeah. So on the website, you'll start seeing our chatbots and stuff like that are all Gen AI enabled.
Okay. Kind of curious, does this replace, enhance, or change the job of a person whose job it was to do this before? Like, what effect did this have on, let's say, the employee experiences at HotelLogix?
So I think it will only enhance the capability. It will certainly see basically. I think the mediocres will suffer in
Yes.
this world.
Yes.
Yeah, the mediocres will suffer, but
Mhm.
it will enhance the capability of just day before yesterday I took a interview of a marketeer. Okay,
Mhm.
and I had asked him to list down the tools that he's worked on and what are the uses.
Right.
His list went up to some 36 tools in the last 3 years. Two
That's
years,
amazing.
2 years, 36 tools that he's absolutely himself applied. He would have
Right.
flirted with a lot more, right? But what I'm trying to say is it has just made him a much better marketeer, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
so it
true.
only enhances to Brand's point. Absolutely, these robots, flinging their hands here and there cannot replace a human over there, right? But if the
Correct.
human knew the right information, if the guy on the front desk knows that this is the person who likes a hot towel in the room, and he will say, hello, fantastic, Mr. Brian, your room is ready, and please don't miss out the hot towel that I've put for you in the room. It does, so something like that, right? So I totally concur. I don't see it's going to replace human beings, but yes, average, mediocrity will basically get challenged.
Got it. So it's the person who's going to use AI that will probably get the job over the person who doesn't use AI very well, because you can expect much greater productivity and curiosity and probably development out there. Would that be a correct conclusion that you would hire the person with more AI skill and more AI curiosity than a person who is going to approach it from a more traditional perspective?
So a lot more passion for his own area of profession, right?
Domain
Lot
expertise.
more passion, because that is what is going to fuel the right usage. Just using a tool is not going to make him better.
Correct. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, most excellent. This is just a benefit to everybody who hasn't heard about this website before. It's called Product Hunt, built here in San Francisco. I just took a look at it, and pretty much all the top apps right now are somehow related to AI. So this is a review site where any new applications that people are coming up with will be put up, and like on Reddit, which really isn't that available in Indonesia, it gets voted up. So you can discover your best tools a little bit faster. All right, let's go to Mr. Suryo. Mr. Suryo, what are some things that you see in terms of technologies and AI that can actually be of benefit in let's say applying from telecom university to business, and ways that you can see that affecting business in a positive way?
Okay. Actually, we also have a infrastructure AI that given from the Ministry of Research and Education, and the benefit of AI in the telecom university, we can collaborate with the company to solve several their problem and optimize the problem from company with using AI. And we already prove that our solution could work in the company. Yeah.
Any particular details on what that solution was, Mr. Suryo?
For the example, there is a telecommunication company, and they want to make some kind of engagement of the employment, how the employment engagement, and we compute the data and make a profile of the company, of the telecom company. So I'm sorry, there is also a noise here. Yeah, and we also use the data science, and we can generate the profile of the employee of the company. Yeah, some kind like that. And we also develop the surveillance system to monitoring the base station transceiver. Base station transceiver?
No, maybe you can tell me more about the transceiver.
Some kind of tower for the telecommunication, BTS.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Base
There
stations,
is
right?
some base station. Yeah.
Okay.
So there is some problem here. We can reduce the cost of to yes, we can reduce the cost by using our solution with AI. Okay.
And could you kind of explain essentially how that works, right? How were you able to reduce the cost using AI? What was the let's say I'm about to buy that, right? If I'm a customer for that solution, what exactly would it do?
Okay. Because they monitoring the base station using manual, using people, and this is not a good solution in the company view. So
Mhm.
we make some kind of surveillance system that can monitoring the BTS, and we can reduce the cost to pay the people replacing to the our solution.
Okay,
So
got it.
so the company can saving the cost uh about 200 billion for a month.
Okay. And in what ways was the AI applied to this? So it sounds like it's monitoring and just data collecting. How was the AI involved in this particular situation to let's say enhance human thought or to make the situation easier, Mr. Sorial?
Pardon?
So how was AI involved? It sounds like so far what I've heard is just that it's collecting data and it's replacing somebody from having to monitor the data. What exactly was the benefit of AI in, let's say, the process of making the business more efficient?
Yeah. In this monitoring system, we should monitoring the antenna in the BTS,
Huh?
and yeah, in the BTS. So the data transmit from the capture image to the server, and we compute using AI about the position of antenna, and there is change or not, for an example like that. Because operator uh, if operator will have the antenna in the BTS, so they should pay to the telecommunication company. Yeah, and it is much expensive, and sometimes there is not good operator. So we should monitoring this one. That's
Okay.
that's the problem. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sura, for speaking on the behalf of research coming out of Telecom University. Maybe let's go to Brian then. Yeah. SimCity probably was running on some AI, but your AI at City Builder sounds like it's something else. So how does it work? What exactly is it doing to understand this information and data? And what is it helping Costco and other similar, let's say, businesses, or maybe just in depth, like what particular industries or what particular buildings are we deciding how to place, and what's the benefit? Is it giving kind of investment strategy, or is it giving like what the revenue per square meter is going to come from? What is the yeah, tell us how that process works. I'm very curious.
Yeah, can I share my screen?
Absolutely. Oh, yes, please. Can we give access to Brian Furkan on the screen?
Yes, we will allow participants to have screen sharing access, and then all set, sir.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Mr. Brian, take it away. Show us your screen.
Sounds good. Okay. Let me know if you
Now,
guys
everybody else,
see this
share your
okay.
screen.
Everyone see this?
Still audible?
Yes,
Yes.
that is
Okay.
cool.
So
Wow.
what you guys are looking at right now is a bird's eye view of the Seattle area. This is 27,000 parcels that we're analyzing right now. If you wanted to, we could zoom out a little bit and say, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at 60,000 parcels. Okay. Imagine how much time it would take you to go through 60,000 parcels and figure out which of those allow you to build apartments. Well, now we just did it in 1 second. So there's 23,778 that you can build apartments on. Now, let's say you work as an analyst and you want to be a super analyst and say, my boss wants me to find places to build at least 250 units of housing. You'll now type in 250 units of housing, and we've gone from 23,000 parcels.
Okay.
And in that amount of time, we are now going to a lot less. Give it a second.
Airbnb for building sites.
Now we just went to 330 parcels. So you guys can see how we just went from 60,000 to 330. We spent about 5 years building out this capability. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see that we're not only finding the locations, we're actually using artificial intelligence to do the work of the architects and designing those buildings on actual parcels of land. So you can see these are actual buildings being designed. This is anywhere between 3 hours to 3 weeks and $10,000 per building, and we just did 330 of them. So figure $10,000 times 330. Someone else can do the math on that. We just did that amount of value in a few seconds.
Nice.
And let's say, okay, we think for whatever reason that the one that makes sense is going to be this guy here. Because we said we wanted to be in this area, or my boss wants me to find something in this area. So now we know we can build 657 units. This is what it looks like now. We'll dig in a little bit further and start to look at a bunch of data around that parcel. We can go into best use. We've just done the work of another architect on the inside of the building envelope to determine what we should build inside of it. This is including like how many units that are 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. And if we want to figure out how much money we're going to make, optimizing for 1, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom studios, all we have to do is look at rents. And rents used to be organized based on some level of granularity around, okay, well, rents are this much in a city, then they're this much in a neighborhood, they're this much in a zip code, this much in a block. We've now created a spatial leg model that allow you to say, on this corner of this block, 2 bedroom rents are going to be 331 and 361 for 3 bedrooms. So we're going to be building 3 bedroom rents here, and your 3 bedroom units are going to get you 57.91 a month.
Amazing. This is the technology we've built. Devin, who's here right now, has, I think, built one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in prop tech. This is not just machine learning, this is volumetric machine learning. And you're going to be hearing more about that as Apple Vision opens next year. We've been doing a lot of machine learning and AI on pixels, basically on screens or imagery and data. But soon we're going to have volumetric data, and we're going to be machine learning on things in 3D. Just the same way that when you started off in school, you were learning on a piece of paper, but then when you walked out your front door, you were learning in 3D. That's what AI models are going to be doing. They're not just going to be looking at flat data, they're going to be looking at volumetric data. And so as we start to capture this data, and there are some real challenges around capturing this, because storage and processing and compute is going to become exponentially more expensive as we start to look at things in terms of 3D, just like it takes you more time to process something, getting around, let's say, a traffic jam than it does taking, for you to look at a piece of paper and drawing a line around a traffic jam. It's going to require a lot more compute. It's going to require better chips, better processing, better materials, science. Everything is going to have to get better at the same time. The supply chain is going to have to remain together. It's really going to be a challenge. So there are going to be opportunities, not just in using these tools, but in building the hardware and the software that allow for the implementation and use of these tools. And so the sensors, just everything. So we're going to get to the point where, just the same way as you're able to, speak and ask Alexa for something, you're able to type and ask for someone to summarize what were all the hotel reviews of the Plaza in New York over the last 20 years. Great application for AI today in hospitality, right? Or let's say, for example, you're working with, a company called Bukit Vista and their hospitality management and service, and they're telling you, hey, you've got an A+ in this area because you've got the only thing that everybody wants. And all of a sudden you say, shoot, I want to build 5 more of those there because there's nothing. And there's
there's a lot of demand, no supply, City Builder will be able to come in and tell you, okay, here are the 5 places you should build those in Bali. And we could do that just this fast, right? So this is just going to keep changing and changing and changing. And it's software today. It's going to move into hardware. It's going to move into robotics. And just the same way I can ask for this to design something today on my screen, in a period of 10 years, you'll be able to ask a machine to be able to find the location, go to the location, start to build out the foundation and all of that. And buildings are going to go up with the help of humans, right? Humans are going to provide the judgment and the management layer to AI. But that's some of the applications that we're having, used today. Once we find all these good sites, we push them into CRMs. We built a map-based CRM because what we do is inherently map-based, as you guys can see. So it's not like Salesforce where you're just looking at tabular data. You're actually looking at your pipeline in 3D on a map. So there's tons of applications that exist today for AI, machine learning, generative AI. We haven't really shown it much today, but when cities are sub-optimized, which all of them are, because all of this data is dynamic, and as we learned from COVID, highest and best use of land is also dynamic. We used to think that the best use of the center of cities was office buildings. It wasn't very long ago. 4 years ago, we thought the best use of the center of a city was office buildings. Now there's 1 billion square feet of empty office in the United States. So this is all dynamic. And as we get this new data, it's going to allow us to use generative AI to redesign the cities and replan cities, go in and become like a, AI-based city planner.
That's pretty incredible. I like how there's so many different visions that you compiled there, Brian. That one, when I thought of the Apple Vision, let's show everybody what the Apple Vision actually looks like. So the
sir,
Apple
while you're talking, may I cut you for a sec there? So unfortunately, Mr. Aditya needs to leave. So probably we can say some parting words to Mr. Aditya, and thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for being able to join us tonight and coming to the BVE Talk 24. We wish you well, and we'll catch up with you soon in real life, I hope.
Oh, seems already.
Okay. Let's get back to this particular idea. So the Vision Pro is the new VR experience that Apple is bringing in, and I never thought of it as a data input device, but I think you're hitting something there, Brian. It's like our smartphones, right? So the smartphone is a experience device, but it's also a sensor that's going out there and collecting data. So very, very interesting. As 3D data comes in, that will be straining on all kinds of resources. Well, I should buy some AWS stock or something now. I think that could be coming up pretty soon. But this idea of a CRM, so CRM, for those of you who are students, is a customer relationship management database. It's pretty much in every organization that, that's one business that won't go away, the CRM, right? So that part will probably be the interface that you have with your customers. It's a database that keeps track of customers and also what customers are doing. Fairly impressive. Okay. Before we run out of time on this particular segment about talking about business value, let's go over to Matt. Matt, how does your company, how does Rate Room Price Genie execute and use tech, big data, AI to solve the problems of hotels? What sort of are the, if you want, maybe you can give a demo of your tools as well, if you'd like.
I'll for sake of time, I won't share a demo. But firstly, Brian, the product looks amazing. It's absolutely blowing my mind.
Thanks, Matt.
But yeah, second thing, I guess, like when I'm looking at this and thinking about our product, I still come back to that human element, and a lot of the technology that we have and that we use is probably not something that most of our customers or end users would see running in the background. So we use it on our side to build out essentially the most optimized rate that we then automatically apply on behalf of the property. A lot of the big data comes in, which basically says, look, here is the most optimized price. Where that human interaction comes in, and I still believe that there is always going to be a place for humans, but that when we're having a conversation with hotels, the goals of one hotel in terms of business goals is going to be completely different from another. And so what we are essentially doing is saying, here is what the market says, but this is what you want to achieve. How can we then blend the two together? And so that's where that human involvement comes in, where we will then load and shape how we want the system to behave in terms of achieving those the goals of the client whilst operating in a market of X. And so where our data then comes is that we're constantly changing and shifting multiple times daily based on shifts that we see at a market level to continually to adjust our recommendations to make sure that still we remain on track to achieve what the client goals are at the end. So it's probably, it wouldn't be something that they would necessarily see on their end. It's certainly something that we use on our side and more an internal basis. Very different to what Brian has showed in terms of here is a tool and this is how a client would use it. For us, it's more on the back end for us.
Okay, understood. I haven't used your product yet. I apologize, but is it like where the client is setting the rates, or do they subscribe to you and your team sets the rates for a particular client for room price change?
We basically set it and fully automate the whole process. So we take in data that looks at both their own occupancy, their pickup and pace of sales. We look at what demand data is going on, events, those sorts of things. We then take that into account, like the property, let's say, for example, I mean, we saw this here in New Zealand, actually, where a lot of leisure destinations that were obviously during COVID, no one was traveling anyway, but coming out of COVID, we had almost 2 years of no ability to host weddings.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
Yeah.
and so for properties that had the ability to, they might have amazing gardens or grounds, really they might have shifted, some of them completely, their model to say, actually, that's what I want to target. I don't care about what I used to do before. And so we then have, if we're looking forward at data and saying, this is where the market's going this way, but you want to go that way, then how do we combine the two to get the most optimized rate? So yeah, it takes elements of both the property's own availability as well as what's going on in terms of external market demand. And then we flex based on the settings or outcomes that you as a property want to achieve.
Okay. Fascinating. Interesting stuff. Okay. I'll go back to I guess Brian. Brian, I think you took the cake on that one with the demo. That was pretty sick, as we say in California. What sort of I'm kind of curious. Like, I'm looking at this chart full of like the red blocks and everything there, right? What sort of like what's the next step here? Like being able to add more detail. I can see kind of like the zoom out view, right? But let's say if I zoomed in the future, like SimCity, like would I be able to see a mall? Would I be able to see like would I be able to see more and more detail at like a fine level on a particular site that's taking into account all the I'm guessing you're gleaning this information off of probably public databases and scraping websites to get the prices, right? But would I be able to see like a vision of what I should build there, like a mid journey for this? Like, what's the next?
Yeah, a lot of machine learning AI companies create predictive models. Our predictive models tend to be visuals, and so if you go to my Twitter account, I'm City Builder CEO. You'll see pinned as a tweet a prediction made in 2016 by our V1 generative AI of what the future skyline of Seattle would be. So it actually predicted
I see that.
the future. And what's interesting is if you, so the National Association of Realtors had a big event on AI, and they called me and asked if they could use that picture in their presentation. And what they did was they marked it up to show how accurate it was, and it was 70% accurate.
No way.
7 years on the road. So yeah, 70% of these buildings that it predicted would exist in the future do. And so this is a really interesting way to get an idea of what the future of a city might look like. Those were V1. That was 2016. We were really proud of them in 16. Now we look at them and kind of laugh like, hey, those are the old days. But you can look at other ones we've done of New York City that are more high fidelity in the last 2 years that are really cool. They actually now use the existing built environment of New York City under it, so you can kind of get the juxtaposition of the two. And we can do this now for 156 cities in the US, 2 in Canada, and we're moving into Tokyo right quick. So, yeah, I mean, ideally, what would happen in the future is we would not only see what the predicted future of a city would be with today's rules, but we would allow generative AI to play and start to reimagine the rules. What's really exciting to me is for 7 years, all we've done is played within the confines of the rules because we've figured humans know best. Once you provide enough data to these models and you allow them to play the same way that I was playing with SimCity as an 8-9-year-old kid, you simulate enough games by 9-year-olds and some kid beats the game.
Right.
So some kid figures out, well, shoot, I know how to build the perfect city and everyone's going to be happy and I'm going to win the game, right? And this is what would happen if you could play quintillion games of this of modeling. And actually what's interesting is there's 122 million US parcels of land, but there are 10 quintillion, which is 10 with 19 zeros, ways that you could combine those parcels of land to create new sites where you could build new things. And that's where you can allow a generative AI to play with the modeling. And then it can go even further and say, well, let's just forget the rules, change the rules, improve the rules, and then build out the highest and best use of the city given better rules. And if you play, many, many, many games of that, you can start to optimize for certain outcomes. We like to say our mission is to build happy, functional, sustainable communities. If you think about happy, that's people. If you think functional, it's economic. If you think sustainable, that's environmental. If you combine those metrics all together, you're actually building what we think of as a smart city. And so we think there does need to be standardization around, what are the metrics that we're trying to optimize for. But once we can identify and standardize those, the same way that my friend Gene at SASB's Sustainability Accounting Standards Board started to build out standardized models around what sustainability looks like and then scored publicly traded companies on their sustainability so that endowments, pensions, and hedge funds and sovereign wealth funds could start to look at, am I actually investing in a company that's going to make the world more or less sustainable? We'll be able to do that with cities in the next 10 years. And I think we'll actually see better outcomes, not just economically, not just environmentally, but for the people that use these cities as bridges to opportunity.
That's massive. That's massive. Speaking of city, I don't know if you know, but Indonesia is planning on building a new capital. So I just put like a graphic right next to it. So hey, maybe somebody in this audience would be interested in taking this to plan for the new capital city of Indonesia.
I feel like that would require an in-person business trip just to make sure that's a good opportunity for us.
Right after you come here for January. So it'd be great. We're in contact with people who are the lead negotiators for this project. So let's follow up afterwards. I think this would be great. That's amazing. That's really the next level. So you are essentially mid-journey or ChatGPT for cities, like Ingo's, like, the opportunity and outcomes, like the future, the vision. Wow. Okay, I'm thinking of Neom too, that their project over in Saudi Arabia, the linear city. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. Really,
I would like to know what Devin has to say about that design. But
does Devin want to speak? Maybe let's give Devin a chance. Devin is your CTO, I take it, right? A co-founder?
He is, yep. Hop in there,
okay,
Devin,
would you like the floor to speak a little bit about this fascinating technology here that we're taking a look at?
Sure. What would you like me to give more clarity on? You want to talk about Neon?
Devin, I'm a CEO, so I know Brian's take. It's like kind of like, the salesmanship, right? Like the vision and mission thing. But from a CTO perspective, what powers all this technology? Like, we have engineers in our audience. What would stimulate their interest? What would stimulate their curiosity? What can they apply in terms of the skill sets they're learning today to do fascinating work like this?
I mean, how I feel about technology is you can really apply like I'm sort of I come from a pure technology background. Like my interest is in tech itself and applying it to interesting things. And the great thing about tech is that it can be applied to anything. You know, there's basically any other field. If you know how to do software, you know how to do hardware, you could go and think of anything else you want to do and learn about. And the great thing is you don't need to have a degree in that thing. You can just be, by virtue of your technology knowledge, get involved in that and be taught all of these things from all the other people in the field. So you get to learn a lot of other things.
Fantastic. All right. But there must have been something that drew you to Brian to work on cities, right? You guys seem to have had a long history and commitment into seeing this through, and I can see the work certainly shows. How does somebody who is gifted in technology eventually pick a passion or, align to a particular mission in their life or a particular purpose?
Right. I think I always had sort of a little bit of a passion for cities. Just like Brian, I really enjoyed, SimCity, and games like that. Play a lot of City Skylines. And looking at how things are sort of done, outside, there's things I'd like to see done better. And when you talk to people, you see a chance to jump in on something that sort of aligns with the sort of change you want to see in the world and the sort of things that are fascinating problems to you. And then you can apply technology to them. You just jump in and give it a chance. I mean, that's what I did with this. Yeah, sometimes there are opportunities that just kind of come up and you're not really expecting them. But they end up being sort of fascinating things to spend some of your time on and eventually maybe become the main thing you do.
Inspirational. Thank you so much. And applying innovation to positive changes in the world, one step at a time. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Devin, for speaking up, and thank you also, Brian, for introducing our new guest speaker, I guess. Yeah. So, great. Let's continue.
Thanks.
So we ran out of time 10 minutes ago on this topic, but since we got so kind of into it, let's go to our final topic for this evening, which is the one thing I think. Oh, Furkan? Yes, sir.
Yes. So before we jump into the next topic, I think the first thing first that I would like to bring to the floor to the participants here is to give the feedback form. So Josephine from the BVE Talk team, please deliver the feedback form first. And
oh yes,
would that be okay if we go to some question and answer first? Because I believe.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Okay, perfect moment. So segue. If you like to have more BVE talks and you like to have these events, please give us feedback. It's just like Gojek or Tokopedia. Pretend I'm your driver, okay? And give feedback about the event. Quality of a speaker, whether I should grow hair, do I need a better sense of humor? I don't know, whatever, right? Whatever you want to write about and you think would actually make your experience here at BVE Talk better, please give us that feedback because we thrive on feedback. Okay,
yes.
So
let's go to the slider then.
Yeah, okay. New link is going to come out. And if you happen to have a phone and you're using a laptop at the same time, you could scan it. But okay, switching gears to, okay, all right, question and answer. All right, I guess the first question is for Matt. How can organizations determine whether they need AI technology, and what are some important questions to ask before investing in it? Matt, what do you think? What is the way that, how does somebody decide a question like that?
Yeah, I think there's kind of two elements to it when I think about the hospitality industry specifically. If I think about being in a hotel, right, there are so many repetitive tasks generally that take place, right? And I mean, many parts of the world do experience labor shortages, and so trying to find enough people to do the tasks, it takes a toll. And so I think if you're a business that is sort of in that boat where maybe you don't necessarily have enough people to do the things that need to get done, then that's probably a fairly strong indicator that you should consider AI.
Correct.
And Aditya touched on this right at the start, where there is ways that you can automate guest messaging. You can use ChatGPT to answer reviews. Like, there's a lot of technology out there that can assist from a more operational perspective. If I think about the revenue management side of things more specifically, which is where we operate, I think a really prime indicator is that if you're a property that now this side of COVID is running at 100% occupancy consistently, then you've probably sold too cheap. And so how can you use
Yes.
technology to help maximize your revenue, and where does that opportunity exist? So I think often the understanding where you need technology comes from you taking the time to step out of working in your business and start looking at it from the outside around where can I get efficiencies from, where can I improve
Right.
revenue? Like, be curious on your own business, and then that will
Def-
start to guide a little bit around, you know, where you might choose to adopt technology.
Got it. Okay. So it can be kind of tough, right? I think in a particular way when we're looking at, let's say, problems. Because if you have, like, say, a pre-AI mindset, you might have this opinion, I just hire a revenue manager, right? Or I just hire a guest service person to do this. What do you think a AI fluent business owner, an AI fluent person looking for a job, employee, AI fluent business, like what would their thought process be like in this question?
I see it a lot where people become more curious around technology as there's natural attrition and people leave the business. And
Mhm.
so where those that are maybe a little bit more curious, they'll, rather than say, hey, let's hire another person, they'll say, hey, before we fill that role,
Right,
actually, let's take a look at what else is out there. So
right,
I think it's more of a natural attrition rather than
right.
anything else.
That could be a good trigger, right? If somebody just left, then all right, then maybe there is no rule for that anymore. It should be, it's not like it was replaced by a job, but somebody left, right? And then I've come to see that too personally. So in hospitality, like you just mentioned, there's a lot of roles that I I don't know how to put it, but they're not career building roles, right? Like if you're
Yep.
working the front desk, that is always a position not to be in forever, right? You're going to work your way either into a different position or such. So I think there's, yeah, like the toil type roles are the ones that probably should start looking for an AI. And if people attrition, then it could be, yeah, it could be a good, more permanent solution, right? Instead of like, okay, let's hire another person, go through that process again. Yeah.
And I think as well, like I touched on it earlier, is like we said, a lot of it also in this industry, we're typically pretty old school and
Yeah.
we're not really generally that open to tech. And so it's sort of a change of guard, really. So we're seeing changing demographics, therefore potentially more openness to technology. So I think over time we will catch up. Just unfortunately, I think as an industry, we're a little bit behind other industries in terms of AI adoption.
I would tend to agree, sir. I don't know if Brian feels that way, but hospitality, getting people in hospitality to embrace technology is so challenging. It's like very, very grounded in tradition. So, Brian, do you see that also in property tech, or is it more open to, like, are you dealing with more rational people? I don't know. Like is it a different climate?
I don't know if it's fair to categorize people by asset class or product type as, more obtuse or more open-minded or what have you. I think the most important thing and the thing that I try to do when I'm out speaking to people is know who I'm talking to and tell them a story that is important to them that could be valuable to them. And
Ah,
so
that's
I'll
your
give you an
own.
example of
Mhm.
our really only big splash into hospitality. About 5 years ago, I came to my leadership team and said, "Hey guys, we wanted to create happy, functional, sustainable communities, but right now we're just helping like big investors, builders, developers make a lot of money. What if we could use this technology to create a lot more housing that's affordable?" And of
Right,
course, that's like the panacea, but also really tough. And so
right.
we decided to use the product to map out, according to all of the government regulations and rules and constraints around topography, lot lines, max height, setback, yada, 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 where you could build an ADU or additional dwelling unit or,
Mhm.
uh, backyard cottage, whatever you want to call it. There's 50 terms for it, but just basically a secondary smaller unit in people's backyards.
Okay.
So we did that. We built that out. The team was super flexible and very kind to me, because this is one of those kind of like fool's errands. Like, how are we going to make money with this? It ended up not being something we made any money off, but we got a lot of press on it. And GeekWire covered it, Bloomberg covered it, and then
Amazing.
one Saturday night, I get an email from two rocket scientists who work for Airbnb. And the email actually comes from Peter and Fed at Samara.
Okay.
So I didn't even know it was Airbnb. And then I get an email. You don't know who we are, but we know who you are. Very CIA type stuff. And I was like, man, are we in trouble right now, or what's the deal? And it turns
Joe's
out
company. Yeah. Okay.
Airbnb acquired the startup of these two Russian rocket scientist brothers who won a competition to build housing on Mars. And
Right.
they wanted them working basically on a skunkworks project that would help increase supply for Airbnb, because as you guys know, Airbnb's a really big deal. They're pretty saturated. Everyone knows about them, and there's Airbnbs everywhere. And so their problem is, okay, how do we create more supply? And so we told this story to the press about, well, there's a lot of opportunity to create a lot more supply in people's backyards. You just have to know whether or not you're eligible. So we used, geospatial analytics and data and government regulations and all these things to give people a quick red light, green light.
Right.
Type in your address, red light, green light. And then what we would do is we would funnel those leads out to operators. So those were lenders, 3 lenders signed up for it to help finance. GCs, which became the bottleneck 5 years ago. Now there are more GCs building ADUs, but still not enough for scale.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I guess I would just say the most important thing isn't describing the capabilities of your software technically. It's telling a story about how your user, your customer's life is going to change. And if you can tell a story about them waking up every day and not having to do something they hate doing. So for example, architects they're artists. I don't know if you know an architect, but every architect loves designing things and building things and seeing them come to fruition. They don't like doing all the measurement. So we told architects back in the day, we'll do all of this rote, tedious, cumbersome measurement to give you a ball of clay, get you to the point where you've got basically just a big block, and you guys can start doing design from there. Wow. And that was the first time we got architects to be more interested than fearful about our product.
That's wise. That's really wise. So see the opportunity, tell the story that triggers your user, your audience to emotionally gravitate towards it, and then they'll consume the AI because it's covered in a nice, delightful packaging. Wow. Okay. No, that's an inspirational story. I just checked it out. Yeah, Joe's company, Samara, right? The two rocket scientists, ADUs. There's a YouTube video with 1.8 million views on it. I didn't even know. I worked at Airbnb. I didn't even know about this. So very very inspirational, in fact. Okay, excellent. Let's go to Mr. Suryo. Mr. Suryo, what say you? How does an organization know if they need AI as part of what they do, or is it just irrelevant?
Pardon, Jing?
The first question. So organizations have to determine whether or not they need AI or not.
Oh yeah, I think in the telecom university there is need the AI technology, because in the telecom university there is some kind of scholarship program, so we can make a decision about who's the student can get the scholarship. Okay. And then in the other we also develop the curriculum, so maybe next year all the major in the telecom university should study about AI, and some kind of the department in the telecom university also make a research about AI technology and make some product. And because the telecom university wants to be an entrepreneurial university for the 2030. Yeah, that's
fantastic. Curious Bull asks, thank you, Mr. Suryo. Curious Bull asks, does AI need to be trained, or can we use it right away? I guess it depends if you're the AI
Yeah.
developer, or the AI user, right?
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think, Mr. Sorio? Does it need to be trained, or can we use it right away?
Yeah, I think there is it depends on the problem and the solution. And we already know the AI has several learning, right? There is a supervised learning, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and so on. So yeah, it is depend on the data, the problem, and the solution. The
Okay,
answer.
all right, got it. Let's go to the third question. Is there any defiance or challenges for job seekers to overcome AI, especially when AI has distorted some of the job positions? I'm not sure what that's really asking about, but does the person who asked that question want to clarify by any chance? No? Okay, all right. So we'll just have to guess what this means, I guess. Matt, what do you think it means? What is the defiance or challenge? I mean, is your job being challenged by AI?
No, I don't think so. Certainly not my job. I think the way that I interpret this is more around is AI threatening the, I guess, jobs in a traditional sense. I think this comes back to a little bit, Aditya touched on it as well earlier, where they are tools. As a person, you can use AI, and there are different tools to support your role. It just enhances you as a person. So I think actually not, but I think if you have the ability, particularly if you're out there trying to find a job or looking, maybe demonstrating a little bit about how you use tools to support and enhance you in your role, or how you've applied it in the past. If you've done internships, how did you use this? I think these sorts of things show that you are willing to use technology to go forth rather than being stuck in a traditional mold.
Correct.
That's the way that I would read that.
Let's go to Brian as a CEO. I mean, a person who probably designs some jobs from time to time. Brian, is being AI fluent mandatory if you want to hire any more people from this point on? Or
I don't think so.
is it?
No,
No,
I don't.
okay.
I don't think it is. I think it is an advantage to the individual to be conversant about it. I think it is super advantageous for people to use it.
Yeah.
Because you remember from earlier, I said you're going to fix the word super to any job position today.
Yes.
And if you want to be a super fill in the blank, you're probably going to be using AI. I mean, you could
Right.
almost name any job in the world right now, and I could give you an application for how that person could use AI. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not just knowledge workers. It's everybody at this point. So I think just being aware of how AI is changing work in general, whether it's knowledge work or other types of work, I think is really important. And I wanted to touch on this other one because we're kind of skipping over it. But when AI systems fail, is there any regulatory body, I would guess, to address the harm? I don't know that there is today, but there needs to be.
Yes, sir.
I think that right now we're relying, as we all saw 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, whatever it was, on the boards of these companies to kind of be the regulating bodies. And humans are fallible. We talked about how we could all become domain experts, and that someday there could be one domain expert, that's the very deep domain expert. I don't think that's desirable. I think that it is important that we have people with differing opinions that give different perspectives on things. And I think that we also need a large body that is, able to look at lots of different perspectives when it comes to regulating AI. Because if we rely on 3 people, and those 3 people don't get a lot of sleep one night, go to a board meeting, make a decision that accelerates AI's access to the data that we might not want it to have yet. I mean, we can't leave the fate of humanity, I know it sounds alarmist, in the hands of a small board. So there does need to be standards. There do need to be international kind of bodies that work together on this stuff. And this needs to be treated as not a United States or China or whatever problem. This needs to be treated as a species issue, because this is really going to be a tool that we use to like propel ourselves into infinity, or something that could be used in a very harmful way.
Correct. This is I think the Musk conversation, the speciest versus the non-speciest type, and I've been thinking about this too as well. I'm a bit of a pessimist in this. I think nobody really understands how to understand a technology until you've seen a massive learning event, right? Whether it's like nuclear weapons or tanks or whatever, right? It always gets kind of played with Prometheus in the fire, so to speak, right? Until it has a particular endpoint. But that's also the hard point too, as well. You're literally talking about understanding intelligence, which requires already more intelligence than kind of like the average person would have, right? So it's so meta in a way that it escapes kind of like the comprehension of most people. I almost think like the best AI would probably, the best solution is you have an AI that understands how to regulate itself, right? like as it's getting smarter, understands like also how to do this. But yeah,
I think that's true, but I also think that, like, I don't know how many of you guys have kids, but what you learn by raising kids is that they're not self-regulating individuals for quite a long time. The really sharp ones, I don't know, Jing, I don't know about your daughter, but if she's anything like my daughter, like I could actually kick her out of the nest right now and she'd be just fine. My boys, on the other hand, my boys wouldn't make it 3 days, you know, like that's kind of the situation. And I feel like AI is kind of that way too. I mean, we are collectively as humans, we are raising our first digital babies, and they're named Gemini and Chat GPT. And those are our kids, and they're going to go on to be a lot smarter and a lot more capable than we are. And if we raise them with good values, they'll probably act right. And if we raise them with, you know, selfish values, they'll probably act selfishly. And so that's where we're at. I hope we do a good job.
You know, the funny thing is, I remember, I think it was Ray Kurzweil or somebody who actually came up with the idea of the singularity event, right? They said that if the AI strikes you as a kid today, it won't be more than a few months before it's going to just go like exponential, right? It's just like, and it quickly accelerates. So I feel like it'll be also the shortest parenting time in human history for the largest collective child that we raise as a species. No, it's just so hard to see over it. It's like a black hole, right? It is a singularity event, and what is over the event horizon, the black hole, very, very hard to see. Okay, all right. Let's keep on going back to ground level here. Anonymous asks, how can we encourage employees to use AI for productivity purposes and not simply to take shortcuts? I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting question. I guess as a supervisor, you probably should know what a shortcut is and what's productivity, right? Yes, Furkan.
Yeah, sir. So basically time is running up. I think the questions list is very important, especially about that one. What do you guys think about Google's Gemini?
Okay. Sure. Does anybody have an opinion about Gemini from Google? This should be interesting.
I sent my daughter the video last night, and I said that it made Chat GPT look cute.
So Gemini's going to crush it. Yeah. Okay. Matt?
I've not actually used it myself, so I can't comment.
Okay. And Surreal?
No comment.
Okay. All right. Gemini. Okay. As let's say the earliest adopter here, Brian, what makes Gemini seem so powerful and ChatGPT cute in comparison?
Well, I just think that multimodality is important. The idea that you can be drawing something and it can start to describe what you're drawing as you're drawing it. It's starting to recognize the same way my toddler is recognizing something I'm drawing on a piece of paper. It's recognizing it that way, and it's having a conversation about it live. So the speed of all of that is pretty impressive. And the fact that it's gained a new sense, right? Like They're animals that you fear less because they have no eyes, but they can move, and then all of a sudden they get eyes and they can track you, and they're more dangerous, right? Like that's what's happening in front of our eyes. Is we're watching AI gain senses it didn't have 6 months ago,
You're right.
and we only have 5, and right now it's got at least 2.
Yeah.
So as it starts to adopt those, it'll be really, really interesting.
It'll be really fast, as we're seeing too as well. So multimodality, once again, for the audience, is being able to go from one medium to another, from text to image, image to text, sound to text, video, whatever. So you're able to like go from a multimedia, I guess, right? You're able to go from one particular way of representing information to another way. Fantastic. Wow. Very exciting. Brian, I almost thought that if Google came up with anything like ChatGPT, they would probably do much better. They have much more data. They kind of know where all the information is anyways, plus what's inside your emails, plus what's inside your calendar. So if you know, it's a whole league of available data not available to ChatGPT. I really hope they don't become evil, right? Which is their original line from this. Okay. Let's go on to the last question then for Con. Yeah.
I believe one audience here really curious about the shortcut thing and the question, which is the top questions now with 2 likes. How can we correct back to the question that you pointed out?
Okay. All right. Anybody want to answer that, or is it productivity?
Which question was this?
How do you encourage employees to use AI for productivity and rather than taking shortcuts?
You don't. You encourage your employees to use AI to take shortcuts, because shortcuts create productivity.
Correct. Yes.
So please use AI to make as many shortcuts as possible.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Doing the long cut is, productivity is shortcuts, right? So it's okay. Anyway, okay. Somebody asked Brian about a demo. Okay. We'll come back to Brian if we have time at the end. Thank you for asking that question, but we do need to go to the last topic at this point. So if we can, let's go to
the
final question.
Topic. Yes. Sir,
right.
I would like to give a heads up. I would expect this to be a conclusive topic.
Yes.
It should be finished by 10 minutes, and it should be concluding what is next for us.
Okay. Well, it should be pretty simple. We've already covered a lot of ground for this. So I guess AI is the future. There's probably no doubt about that. I don't know if any job in the future, I think we can all agree, no job in the future will not be of some benefit with using AI, as Brian just stated earlier. All right, like we just talked about, maybe this is trying to see across the event horizon, but what do you think is the future with AI? What will your industry look like? What will your job look like? What kind of people will you hire? What sort of future is ahead for the students and perhaps for some of the businesses in this webinar today? Let's go to Pasorio. What's your take on it? What do you think is the future with AI?
Yeah, I think AI for the future is not disaster for the human being. Yeah, because nowadays many students more lazy compared to the before GPT booming, right? Yeah, and if they didn't use their brain, so I think it is make a disaster for the human being. But the should be considered for the AI future is the ethics and regulation, I think, because there is
ethics.
no ethic and regulation. Yeah.
Okay, ethics and regulation for AI. Not a disaster. Wait, let me clarify that. Was that not a disaster or will be a disaster?
Yeah, if we prepare the human resource and in a good way, so this is not disaster, I think.
Okay. Preparation avoids bad things.
So prepare about it.
All right, over to Matt.
So if I think about hospitality, I always go way back. So hospitality started, ultimately it was, you would entertain guests, family, friends, and as we've gone through history, things have changed. We've come into like a lot of properties will have technology that doesn't talk to each other, and so then comes a lot of manual processes. I think where I see technology or AI taking us is actually full circle. back to creating welcoming atmospheres, being hospitable, because everything else can in effect be automated. People are there for an experience. So I think actually AI will allow us to come full circle back to what we were doing back in the 1600s, where we would invite people around for a meal and you would just have fun.
That's right. That's so true. Funny enough, we came to that conclusion too, as well, Matt.
Yep.
So we stopped doing as much work we automated and used AI to do the drudgery work, and we just started inviting people over for dinner and hang out with our guests more. Yeah, that was very true. Thanks to AI, yeah, it soaked up a lot of the toil work, a lot of the unpleasant work, and a lot of the stuff that actually makes you less in the mindset of doing hospitality, and it kind of gave people a chance to connect. That's a lovely thought. That's very true too. That's a good use of AI. Okay. Brian, city builder, what say you? What do you think?
I think non-super users will start to see the world change. Kind of the way we talk to our grandparents and they tell us these stories about how the world changed gradually over decades. They're going to be telling stories like those lifetime stories, but in like the period of a decade. So I think we're going to see a lifetime of change in a matter of a decade for a lot of folks, and they're going to have some whiplash. It's going to be really tough to process. But I do think that we live in a really special time where people that don't become super users won't be harshly penalized right away. So I think that we're probably the last generation that will benefit that way. Super users of AI, I think, are going to seem a bit like gods.
Yes.
We're going to find people that can create anything they think of. It's almost as soon as they think of it. And those will be digital things first, but then they will move into the physical world. Yes. And that will make them very godlike, and that will be very scary. And hopefully those will be good people with good intentions. And super important that we keep the most powerful AIs in the hands of people that have good intentions and want to benefit humanity. So yeah, I can't say what's going to happen, but I can say that it's really important that the good people in the world that want to benefit the species and not just themselves end up being the super users of AI.
I hope so too. There's an ongoing debate about who's going to get this technology first, right? And I think it's the super users are. Yeah, I already see it. Like if you, but funny enough, Brian, but you don't think it's essential for, let's say, an employee to have AI fluency, right? But you do see that the super users are going to be this much taller. Do you think there is a job or a place or a role for somebody in an industry or whatever the industry is going to look like at that point, for somebody who's just using their own brain to figure things out?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely think there will be, but I think that AI, especially the AI that exists today, that is democratized to everyone, like a ChatGPT, is kind of an equalizing, democratizing force, which is really cool, actually, because it's a general AI. It's something that takes all of the widely available information and democratizes it to everyone, summarizes really complex things into simple things, etc. So I think it has the power to be a really equalizing force today. I think as it becomes more specialized and becomes more powerful, and the super users start to get leverage with it, then I think we may see some differences. But yeah, I definitely think that if people decide to pick the tool up, it's going to serve them well. There's no reason you can't build a house and use your hand as a hammer, but if the hammer's sitting there, may as well pick it up and hammer the nails in.
That's what I think too. Yeah, it'll be like, let's say, the equivalent of a person who probably doesn't use, I don't know, a vehicle or a computer, right? Like it'll just be kind of like, well, how are you supposed to get any work done if you don't plan to travel, or you don't? It'll be like, I'll walk everywhere, right? Or I'll just use my hands to write, or my pencil to write all these notes on. So yeah, maybe if you're a poet, but otherwise, okay. All right, interesting. Bright view of hospitality from Matt there. Caution from Suriel, and also probably caution from Brian too as well in the future of AI. Okay, well, this has been I hope a fruitful journey. I know probably asked a lot of questions and made it a little bit mentally exhausting for all of us. So we're training our AI brains, training our human brains to think. But anyhow, we've reached the conclusion. And just to kind of summarize and probably recap on our journey here. So we've seen many different perspectives and a diverse set of perspectives coming from different cultures and different backgrounds, with the positives of AI, the benefits of it, the way that it can be used in the future, and its relevancy in the future of work, and how it can be relevant to the students and academics and other industries. We've seen the pros and cons, and hopefully we've dispelled some myths about AI and enhanced everybody's understanding of it. I have actually a fun model I want to share with everybody. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this. It's called a Matryoshka doll, right? A Matryoshka doll is this Russian doll of dolls. So it's like a set. Wait, let me see if I can find one, and then I'll quickly upload it into our thing here. So, oh, okay, it's really tiny, but let me blow it up a little bit bigger and blow it up a little bigger than that. Oh, I'm covering Aditya there, but that's a graphic I kind of want to leave everyone thinking about, right? So the way I see it, and kind of leveraging on what Brian just said earlier, I find that, let's say, the entirety of human knowledge, probably like the largest doll. Okay, so you kind of like have leading cutting edge research being on that outer skin of the biggest Matryoshka doll. And then the tiniest doll is what you know from just being born, right? Just basic kind of brain, lower limbic system things. So as we sort of are getting into a world where we're in universities, we're learning, we're upgrading our dolls up to larger and larger dolls. And at a certain point, we stop, right? We become sort of like, or if we stop learning, and then we stop. But what I've seen us be able to do now is that with these tools like ChatGPT, you can push your knowledge almost up to like the largest dolls now, right? And that by itself gives you more access to more knowledge and more access to more questions that you didn't have beforehand. So literally, although ChatGPT is democratizing, it depends on what questions you ask, right? So if you don't have a question, or you don't have any curiosity, or you don't know anything, then you can't ask the thing that accesses the outside the next doll. So I found it to be sort of like this. You need to be within one shell to reach the next shell, but you can quickly accumulate, in your terms, a super user, your advancements across different shells, all the way up to the very edge of knowledge. And I've been speaking with ChatGPT more than I've been speaking with people recently. I've been just asking it tons of questions about how it works and what transformer models are and weights and logics. And it's been a remarkable conversation partner. It's just been like, you know, it'll figure out what I'm trying to ask, and then I can even train it to ask me new questions. So I think the future of AI is definitely a level playing field. It kind of makes any particular advantage in the current system irrelevant. If somebody has 10 years of experience, 20 years of experience, they don't necessarily have an advantage over somebody who's a new graduate. If you're curious enough and you want to explore that knowledge, and you can turn any type of experience into your own experience in a fairly short amount of time. And it's for me, it's like a superpower. Yeah, it's like a new type of world. So I think AI will give superpowers to some. It might not give superpowers to everyone, but I think in terms of equal access now, it is fair access. And let's hope, let's say, the people with good intentions accesses it first and do the good things with it first, and not like have this fall into the wrong hands. You know, we don't want to have like a backlash against the new technologies. All right. So with that, I'd like to conclude the BEV Talk 24 and give it back to our host, Furkan, to take us to the conclusion.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jing, Mr. Brian, Mr. Matt, and Mr. Suryo and also Mr. Aditya, who unfortunately has been departing from this room earlier, to come showing this the participants, 200 participants today, how actually AI will transform the world, especially in the hospitality business. So, as mentioned, that I have given the feedback form to all of you, and thank you very much, everyone, for giving questions and also giving feedbacks. And actually, I already picked some of it, and your feedback are lovely, most of it. So, thank you very much. Again. And yeah, that's it for BVE Talk today. And let's have a photo session together before we depart. Okay, Adil, please take over the room and have a photo session.
Yeah, sure. So if everyone can kindly turn on your cameras, we'd love to see your lovely smiles. Yeah,
Yes,
take
of course.
together. Okay, nice.
On your count, Adil.
Yeah, sure. I'll just wait for a couple more seconds for people to turn on their camera.
Here, I'm guessing it's going to take at least 5 seconds, and that's going to be the time I need to go use the restroom real quick. So when I come back, hopefully everyone's facing.
That's your
No break.
Good. Cool.
Cool. Okay. Someone. Don't need to be shy. It's just take picture, guys.
Adil won't bite.
Yeah, I won't bite.
Okay. Do you need to wait for Jing to come back? I don't think so. We can take the photo without him first one.
Yeah, I think we can. Just take a quick.
Jing will be back soon.
Really? Okay.
Let's give him 30 more seconds.
Oh my god. Okay, cool. Oh, while waiting, I believe someone is actually interested in your demo, Mr. Brian. So probably you can while waiting for Jing, like we can cover that question first. What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
So for Brian, the app demo is amazing. I'm curious on how frequent you update those maps to keep it relevant, and did the recommendation account government regulations too?
Yeah, good question. I think that was an anonymous person. I want to give them some credit for the question, even though they're anonymous. So the land doesn't change often. Obviously, it's pretty static. The land itself. So the maps around the land don't change too often unless there's any kind of terraformation that takes place. Now, the things that we show superimposed on the land, those change a lot. So as we get new data in on transactions, which could be sales, which could be new developments, which could be permits, which could be all kinds of things that are going to affect the built environment, that actually will shift how we make predictions around what should be where or what could be where. So the superimpositions over the land change, the land doesn't change too much. And then on the regulatory side, Jing's got something interesting he's showing. It's distracting. It's kind of funny. So on the government stuff, yeah, laws do change, and we have to change some of the constraints and the laws behind everything that tell us what can be where and what it would look like. But the big lift is really just taking in all of the laws initially and just setting up the set of rules. And then if those rules get tweaked, we tweak the inputs. It doesn't change that much, though. Cities create plans every 4 to 10 years. I would say like that's an average. Sometimes it's less frequent than that, but not very often. Yeah. And then if all of a sudden all the offices are empty, they might make a decision that offices can be converted into houses, and everyone should do that, and we'll give you money and all kinds of subsidies to do it. And then we have to make some changes. That's an example. But those don't happen too frequently.
Oh, cool. So it's actually quite effective to collect data every 4 to 10 years and then reimagine the visualization of the city, right?
Yeah, and for bigger cities, I don't know. It really just depends. But some cities don't change much. Some cities change more often. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Oh, okay. Very good conclusion. Thank you very much, Mr. Brian, for answering that question. I also agree that the question is very amazing, so that's why I shoot it to you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Our moderator here is back actually. So should we proceed with the photo session? Bro?
Yeah, let's get a few more photos up. At least enough to fill the first page. Otherwise, maybe I don't know. Maybe it was a bunch of AI agents listening to us. Yeah, like somebody cloned a bunch of AI audience.
Sharon probably is the one.
I'm the AI today. I'm running in human mode, right? So, okay. Cameras up, please. I'll give it a few more seconds. I took a longer time in the bathroom than 5 seconds, so I was hoping that would give enough buffer, but still. Okay, over to you, Adil. Let's proceed when you're ready.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I'll count to three. Get ready, guys. 3, 2, 1, cheese. All right, cool. Maybe another pose for BVE talk, BV, iconic pose or whatever you like. All right, 3, 2, 1, cheese. Cool. Yeah, we got it.
Okay, that actually marks the end of our session of BVE Talk 20 for today. Once again, thank you very much, everyone, for coming to the session. Especially, thank you very much for all the speakers for hanging out with us for the rest of for the last 2 or 3 hours with our beloved moderator, Mr. Jing here. Thank you very much once again for moderating this session, and also thank you very much for the committee that is involved in this brilliant session. I hope that we can all take learnings. From this session, either you are an academic or you are a business partners, that this session is very insightful for all of you, for all of us. Okay, that's all. I'm Furkon, your host today, signing out for this event. Thank you very much and see you on the next round.
Have a great evening, everybody. Good night. Good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
One.